The Billion-Dollar Heist Without a Gun, the 2016 central bank cyber robbery that shocked America. It began in silence. No sirens, no masked men, no broken glass, just a few quiet keystrokes in the middle of the night. Inside a small office in New York City, a Federal Reserve computer hummed softly as it received a series of digital messages. The commands looked normal, payment requests, the kind the system handled every day. But hidden behind those numbers was a plan so bold, so precise, that it would soon shake America's entire financial system. Billions of dollars were about to move, and no one had a clue. The date was February 4th, 2016. While most Americans were asleep, a group of hackers working thousands of miles away had already broken deep into the systems of the Central Bank of Bangladesh. Their target wasn't Bangladesh itself, but the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, one of the most secure financial institutions in the world. Using stolen credentials, they began sending transfer requests through the SWIFT network, the system banks use to send and receive money worldwide. The hackers carefully crafted each message to look completely real. Official letterhead, proper authorization codes, even the tone and style of real bank employees. At 8:45 a.m. New York time, the Fed received 35 transfer requests. Amount requested, nearly $1 billion. The instructions were clear. Move the funds from Bangladesh's account at the New York Fed to private accounts in the Philippines and Sri Lanka. The hackers even timed it perfectly on a Friday when the time zones between New York, Dhaka, and Manila would create confusion and delay responses. At first, everything seemed fine. Transactions like these happened daily. But then, a single word in one transfer request raised a red flag. It was the name of a company, Shalika Foundation. One Fed employee noticed the name looked odd. He tried to look up the foundation and couldn't find any record of it. Just an empty name in a database. Something didn't feel right. That tiny doubt, one single moment of human instinct, would become the only thing standing between the hackers and their billion-dollar payday. Still, the Fed approved 5 transactions before the system halted the rest. By the time the alarm spread, $81 million had already vanished. The money didn't disappear into thin air. It flowed through real banks, first to the Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation in the Philippines, then swiftly laundered through casinos, money exchanges, and shell companies. Within hours, the clean lines of finance turned into a maze of fake names and hidden accounts. Back in Dhaka, Bangladesh bank officials were in disbelief. Their system logs showed strange login attempts from foreign IP addresses, but no one suspected what was truly happening. When they realized the scale of the theft, panic spread through the building. The central bank of an entire nation had just been robbed and not a single gun was used. Meanwhile, in New York, investigators scrambled. How could one of the world's most secure banking systems, guarded by encryption, firewalls, and countless cybersecurity layers, be breached so easily? The hackers had studied every detail. They knew that once a SWIFT message entered the system, it was treated as trusted. It was like having the master key to the vault, invisible, silent, unstoppable. But something still didn't add up. Who were these people? How did they know exactly how to target the system? And how could they move millions across borders without being noticed? As federal agents began tracing the digital trail, one shocking discovery emerged. The operation's fingerprints matched techniques previously seen in state-sponsored cyber attacks. It wasn't just a group of ordinary hackers chasing quick cash. It might have been a foreign government, one known for cyber warfare and financial sabotage. Every clue pointed towards one name that sent chills through Washington: North Korea. By the time the FBI joined the investigation, the stolen money had already vanished into casinos and offshore accounts, impossible to recover. Yet the hackers had come within hours of stealing a full $951 million, nearly $1 billion, from one of the most secure banks in the world. No weapons, no hostages, just code, timing, and audacity. The event sent shockwaves through America's financial system. The idea that someone could rob the Fed without stepping foot inside it was beyond belief. Journalists called it the billion-dollar heist without a gun. As the investigation deepened, one question grew louder in every newsroom and every boardroom. If this could happen to the Fed, who's next? But the story didn't end there. In a dimly lit room in Manila, a man counting stacks of cash whispered the name of a company that wasn't supposed to exist. That single whisper would lead investigators to uncover one of the most secretive money laundering operations the world had ever seen. The man in the Manila casino didn't look dangerous. He wore a simple white shirt, dark sunglasses, and a calm smile. But in front of him, stacked in neat piles, sat millions of dollars. Clean, crisp bills flowing through his hands like water. To the casino workers, he was just another high roller. To investigators later, he would become the key to one of the biggest cyber heists in modern history. When the $81 million disappeared from the New York Fed, it didn't just vanish into a black hole. It began to flow, fast, through 4 fake accounts at the Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation in the Philippines. All 4 accounts had been opened under false names just a few months earlier. The timing was perfect, too perfect. The money landed on February 5, 2016, a Friday. That weekend, the Central Bank of Bangladesh tried frantically to contact the Philippines to stop the transfers. But by the time the message reached RCBC on Monday morning, it was already too late. The funds had been withdrawn and converted into cash, then moved into casinos and gambling rooms across Manila and Parañaque. That's where the man in the white shirt came in. His name was Kim Wong, a well-known figure in the gaming world. Charming, confident, and always surrounded by powerful friends. He claimed to know nothing about the cyber theft, but when the trail of money led straight to his casino accounts, investigators had questions.
Meanwhile, across the Pacific, FBI agents in Washington and New York were piecing together digital evidence. The more they dug, the stranger it got. The malware used in the heist looked strikingly similar to the code used in the 2014 Sony Pictures hack, an attack the US government had blamed on North Korea. Same style, same coding patterns, same trail of fake IP addresses bouncing through China. Could it really be the same group? The theory was terrifying. If true, this wasn't just a crime. It was a state-backed attack, a foreign government breaking into the American financial system to steal real money. Agents called it Lazarus Group, a secretive collective of North Korean hackers working under the orders of Bureau 121, Pyongyang's elite cyber warfare unit. They had been testing their methods for years: small attacks, bank hacks in Southeast Asia, fake job postings, phishing campaigns. But in 2016, they took the biggest leap yet, robbing one of America's most trusted institutions. Back in Manila, local investigators were chasing shadows. One RCBC branch manager, Maya DeGuito, was accused of authorizing the suspicious accounts. She claimed she was being framed, that higher-ups were involved. Cameras showed her moving in and out of the branch on the days the transfers cleared. She told reporters, "I was just following instructions. There are people bigger than me behind this." Her words sent ripples through the Philippine government. Who were these bigger people? Were they local businessmen, foreign contacts, or something else entirely? The deeper the investigation went, the more it revealed a global web of complicity. Bankers, money couriers, casino owners, and digital operatives scattered across 5 countries. And yet, no one could find where the remaining $50 million had gone. It had vanished, scattered across shell companies, luxury condos, and offshore accounts. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., a special task force was formed. Cyber experts, financial analysts, and intelligence officers gathered inside a secure room in the Treasury Department. On a large screen, the map of the world lit up with flashing lines, showing the route of the stolen money, from Dhaka to New York to Manila to Macau. Each transfer had a timestamp, a code, a signature, but all roads led back to one virtual fingerprint, North Korea's Lazarus Group. For the first time in history, a nation had tried to rob another nation's bank through cyberspace, and nearly succeeded. The U.S. began pushing for stronger digital defenses across the banking sector. But privately, officials admitted the truth. If a small, isolated country like North Korea could do this, anyone could. In Manila, under growing pressure, Kim Wong returned $15 million voluntarily, saying it came from clients who had used his casino. It was a gesture, small compared to the $81 million total, but it gave investigators a place to start. Still, the rest of the money was gone, converted to chips, lost in the tables, and cashed out in bundles. The Bangladesh bank managed to recover only about $18 million in total. The rest, roughly $63 million, remains missing to this day. As the hearings in the Philippines continued, one reporter asked a question that stunned everyone in the room. If this was North Korea, was this really just a heist, or was it something bigger, a warning to the world? The room fell silent, because deep inside the FBI cyber division, agents were already noticing something new. A strange digital pattern, similar to the one used in the 2016 attack, was beginning to appear again in financial networks across the US and Europe. The hackers were still out there, watching, learning, waiting. And this time, they weren't just after money. 1 year later, a mysterious cyber breach at a small American bank set off alarms inside the FBI. The fingerprints matched the same Lazarus code, but what they were trying to steal this time was far more dangerous than cash. It was a quiet Monday morning in Omaha, Nebraska, 1 year after the central bank cyber heist. The staff at a small regional bank logged into their computers as usual, checking balances, approving payments, and running reports. Everything seemed normal until one employee noticed something strange. A transfer request appeared on the screen, ordering $12 million to be sent overseas. The format looked right. The authorization codes checked out. But there was one problem. No one had requested it. The employee hesitated, then called the IT department. Within minutes, the system froze. The screens went black. Then, one by one, the words appeared. "We are Lazarus." That was the moment America realized the hackers were back. In Washington, alarms rang through the FBI cyber division. It had been over a year since the 2016 Bangladesh bank heist, and agents had spent months chasing leads that went cold in Asia. But now the threat had come home. The hackers had learned. They weren't targeting billion-dollar banks anymore. They were going after smaller institutions, ones with weaker defenses, hoping no one would notice until it was too late. The same signature appeared in the malware code, 3 encrypted layers, each bouncing through servers in Malaysia, Vietnam, and China. It was the Lazarus Group, unmistakable. Their goal this time wasn't just money. They were testing America's digital walls, looking for cracks in the nation's cyber armor. the FBI immediately contacted the National Security Agency and the Department of Homeland Security. Together, they launched Operation Firewall, a secret program to track every movement, every keystroke, and every transfer attempt tied to Lazarus.
Inside a windowless room at the FBI's headquarters, a digital map glowed with red lines crisscrossing the world, the paths of cyber attacks moving like lightning. Each red line represented a new attempt. Each attempt revealed just how fearless these hackers had become. Analysts uncovered a chilling pattern. Lazarus was targeting not just banks, but hospitals, energy companies, and government servers. The attacks were small, quick, and designed to test response times. They were practicing. When agents decrypted part of the Lazarus communication logs, they found an internal code name for their new operation: Ghost Finance. One line of code translated to English read, "We took their money once. Next, we take their system." It wasn't just theft anymore. It was a message, a warning that digital warfare had already begun. Meanwhile, in New York, a private cybersecurity company called FireEye was running its own investigation. They traced one of Lazarus's fake accounts to a server in Pyongyang, hidden behind a wall of proxy servers. But when they tried to access it, the connection went dead, as if someone had pulled the plug from inside. FireEye's lead analyst told the press, "These attackers aren't afraid of getting caught. They're proud. They want the world to know they can reach anyone, anywhere." Back in Washington, the U.S. Treasury Department began preparing new sanctions against North Korea. The message was clear. America knew who did it, but punishing a cybercrime was not like arresting a thief. There were no borders to cross, no fingerprints, no physical evidence. The battlefield was invisible. In April 2017, during a classified briefing, the NSA released their final assessment. The 2016 central bank cyber heist was the first large-scale nation-state bank robbery in history. It was more than a crime. It was a test of global financial security. If the New York Fed could be breached once, it could be breached again. That realization forced American banks to completely rebuild their cybersecurity systems. Billions were spent upgrading firewalls, encryptions, and alert systems. But experts warned it was only a matter of time before the next hit. Then, one night, an email arrived in the inbox of a senior FBI agent. It contained a single sentence: "You stopped us once, you won't stop us again." No sender, no trace, just those words. And attached to it, an image of a US dollar bill slowly burning in digital flames. Within 48 hours, cyber attacks began hitting multiple American banks simultaneously. None of the attempts succeeded, but the message was unmistakable. The Lazarus Group wanted the world to remember who they were. As weeks passed, the FBI uncovered the final twist. Part of the stolen money from 2016 had been used to fund North Korea's nuclear weapons program. The money that once flowed silently through casino tables and fake accounts was now financing real missiles, the kind that could threaten entire nations. That discovery changed everything. It proved that cybercrime wasn't just about greed, it was about power. The US government quietly classified the event as Cyber Incident 2016A, a national security case that remains open to this day. No one has been arrested, no funds have been fully recovered. And the Lazarus Group, they're still out there, hidden in code, behind screens, inside networks we use every day. In a world where wars are no longer fought only with weapons, the 2016 central bank cyber robbery became the heist that changed how America saw its own safety. It proved that the most dangerous criminals might never touch a gun, only a keyboard. And somewhere behind another glowing monitor in the dark, someone is typing again. Because for them, the heist never really ended. The story of the billion-dollar heist without a gun didn't end when the screens went dark or when the FBI shut down the last known Lazarus servers. In truth, that was only the beginning. Years later, people would still ask,
How did a small group of hackers nearly steal $1 billion from America's most secure bank and get away with it? The answer wasn't just about code. It was about trust, and how quickly trust can be turned into a weapon. In 2018, the U.S. Senate held a closed-door hearing on the cyber heist. Top officials from the Federal Reserve, FBI, and Department of Homeland Security sat in silence as digital experts explained step by step how the system had failed. They showed screenshots of the fake SWIFT messages, nearly identical to real ones. Even trained analysts couldn't tell the difference. One senator whispered, "If they fooled the Fed, what about the rest of us?" The room fell silent. The truth was chilling. America's digital infrastructure had been built for speed and convenience, not for war. And war, the experts warned, had already begun. At the New York Fed, new security teams worked around the clock. They created advanced systems to detect suspicious patterns, even those hidden in encrypted code. Every transaction now passed through layers of machine learning algorithms and human verification. But every time a wall went up, hackers somewhere tried to tear it down. The Lazarus Group had gone quiet, but their fingerprints appeared again, this time in WannaCry, the 2017 ransomware attack that crippled hospitals and companies across the world, including parts of the United States. Billions of dollars were lost again, not in stolen funds, but in chaos. Same style, same signatures, same invisible threat. As if the ghosts from 2016 had returned, now testing new weapons on the digital battlefield.
In Los Angeles, cybersecurity instructor John Martinez used the heist as a case study for his students. He would show the flow of the stolen money, tracing it across the world, from Dhaka to New York to Manila to Macau. Then he'd pause and ask, "What's the most dangerous part of this story?" Students usually guessed the hackers, the money, or North Korea. He'd shake his head and answer, "It's the silence, the fact that it happened quietly while the world was asleep." And he was right. The heist had exposed how fragile the digital age really was, how a few keystrokes could shake economies, governments, and lives. By 2020, global banks had rewritten their cybersecurity protocols. The SWIFT network itself launched a complete overhaul, requiring constant verification and daily audits. Every new employee had to go through cyber fraud training. Every message, no matter how routine, was checked twice. But even with all those layers of protection, no one could forget what happened. The case became a warning taught in every financial institution. Never underestimate a quiet threat. In Dhaka, officials at the Bangladesh bank still worked in the same building where the attack began. The memory of that night lingered like a scar. The missing money was never recovered. No one was ever convicted. One investigator looked at the blinking lights on the servers and said softly, "It's like chasing shadows in daylight. They're gone before you even see them." And in a way, that's what the Lazarus Group wanted. Not to be rich, but to prove they could outsmart the most powerful systems on Earth. In Washington, the FBI's cyber unit quietly updated its files. The Bangladesh heist was now labeled "Case Closed with Ongoing Threats," meaning no arrests, but the danger remained. An unnamed FBI official summed it up best in a rare interview. "It wasn't a robbery, it was a message. They wanted us to know that borders don't exist online anymore." Today, when people talk about the greatest crimes in American history, they think of bank robbers, mafia bosses, and corporate fraudsters. But none of them ever managed to do what Lazarus did, almost steal $1 billion without ever leaving their desks. No guns, no getaway cars, just code, courage, and cold precision. The digital world had changed forever. In the end, the billion-dollar heist without a gun became more than just a story about hackers. It became a warning about the future. Because in today's world, the next big crime won't happen in a bank vault or on a street corner. It'll happen somewhere we can't see, behind a glowing screen, inside the wires that connect us all.
And as long as there are systems to break and secrets to steal, someone, somewhere, will be typing in the dark, ready to pull off the next billion-dollar heist without a gun. Don't forget to like and follow us for real true event for Crime Story, and subscribe so you won't miss our next video.